Hello everyone, welcome back to Summer Heights here in Planet Coaster, and today we're going to work on the Trawler's Wharf area, which is basically just a rip-off of Fisherman's Wharf for the name there. I just looked at synonyms for fisherman, and trawler was the one that just sounded best, so that's what we're going to name this area of the park. And there was just a sort of area here that needed completing with a couple of buildings and a flat ride, so we put those in. There's a lot of the footage of this build cut out because I did a lot of terraforming, placing rocks, placing foliage and stuff like that, and some failed builds that I just cut out of the footage because otherwise the video would have been over an hour long, and I want to keep these down to under half an hour where possible. So yeah, I just show you the sort of interesting bits, which is making the buildings and decorating the flat ride, I guess. Some parts of this build I didn't even record, so when it jumps to cinematics at the end, you'll notice there's a few other sort of additions that you didn't actually see me build. So the first building we're working on here is inspired by a building in Fisherman's Wharf down in San Francisco, which sort of doesn't fit as much with the theme as all the other buildings, but I wanted to go for something a bit different here, so it sort of comes across as a more log cabin-y style building, but I think the end result is it works quite well with the other buildings that are around it. So I'm quite happy with how it comes together, even though it is built in a slightly different style with these sort of open glass sections, and you know, we're still using the same sort of wood, the painted panel wood that we use for the other buildings in this area of the park, but we're just sort of giving it a bit of variation with the glass and the panels and stuff. For the roof I just decided to turn windows upside down because they work quite well for this roof, and then you can get the gradient, is that the right word? Yeah, gradient of the roof that you're after there, the slope, the angle of the slope, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I distinctly remember when I was building this, actually, it's quite funny because my fiance was watching a documentary about the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, and it's sort of, I'm sure you've seen it, it's on Netflix or something like that. It's like a 4 or 5 part series, and she had it on sort of over the course of the evening, and I was listening in while I was building this about the all the creepy things and the murders and stuff that happened in the Cecil Hotel, and they found a dead body in a tank on the roof of the hotel. It's so creepy, but yeah, really random. That's what this building will forever remind me of now as well, and we're going for a sort of theming that is in California as well, but in a very different city. So yeah, bit of an insight into what goes on while I'm building in this game. You know, she loves her crime dramas and stuff like that, so I'm often listening into stuff like that while I'm building in Planet Coaster. Had a few problems, to be honest, with the computer recently. If you've watched my recent Parkitect video, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Just last summer, about 6-7 months ago, we had some problems with the integrated graphics card. Keeps bringing up random pixels all over the screen and stuff. The GeForce card's fine, so it's not interfering with the games that do work, but I still can't play Planet Zoo. For some reason, the computer just doesn't like it, or it doesn't like the computer. We meet the recommended system requirements for it, but it's just not working. And there is a project that I want to get started in that, a new project that I've had on my mind for a while now. And a couple of times I have loaded up GeForce Now, and just a free version that I've got at the moment, and sort of played around for half an hour in Planet Zoo, putting together some ideas and stuff, but it keeps crashing as well. GeForce Now just doesn't seem to want to work. That's how screwed up my computer is right now. So at some point I need to get it repaired, sorry, and or get a new computer if funds become available, shall we say. So at this point we skip probably about an hour's worth of building, where I had several failed attempts at trying to make this a lighthouse building. I just couldn't get the shape right with other various pieces. Sorry if you heard the motorbike noise out there, by the way, I can't do a lot about that. But yeah, this is the third or fourth attempt I have at building this lighthouse, and this time it's quite successful. I like the end result here, especially the rounded roof that we put on, using the sort of shinier pieces, but I think it comes together and ends up looking quite nice. So yeah, again, loads and loads of pieces on this build. You know, it's one of those things that is just going to be a high piece count when you want to go for a certain shape that you can't get with normal pieces. Obviously we've got the rounded walls in the game, and I could have built it with those, but then it doesn't go in towards the top, if you know what I mean, like the shape really would be, so it doesn't look as realistic using the default walls. So that's why I build it individually. Is that the word I'm looking for? Probably not. I do struggle sometimes with these commentaries to think of what I'm actually trying to say. And then we end up putting in one of those sort of spotlight flashlights that flashes around. It's not exactly what I want. I'd prefer a light that just spins round in a circle, exactly like a lighthouse, but it gives sort of the right effect that we're looking for, and it looks quite cool at night when it's lit up. So yeah, I'd say this is probably one of the more time consuming things in the build, and because there's so many pieces on this building, my computer's really struggling with it now. Like I mentioned before, the computer's struggling anyway. It does play this game alright, and we get 40 FPS if I'm looking away from the heavily detailed areas of the park. But by the time I finish this project, there won't be any areas that aren't heavily detailed with a massive piece count. So I don't think it'll run that well on my computer once it's finished, to be honest. But we'll keep building and we'll see what happens. If need be, there'll only be the two themed areas in the park, this area and one other with another coaster, and then we'll call it a day if the computer's really lagging by that point. But I'd like to try and get 3 areas in, ideally 4 areas, because you know we need a sort of family area for the kids as well. But you know, failing that, we'll do 2 or 3 areas and see how the PC handles it. But going forward into different projects in the future, I really want to sort of look at ways that I can build stuff without having a massive piece count, and yeah, I really need to sort of find a way of utilising the pieces better to build stuff without making it so performance heavy, if you know what I mean. But yeah, for now I'm having a great time making all these circular shapes with tiny pieces. It's just so satisfying to do when you make that complete circle. I can't explain it. It's just you know, it's just one of those techniques that I think everyone that plays these games likes to do. It's such a great building engine that we have in Planet Coaster. I really do like it. And yeah, with that being said, the lighthouse is pretty much complete, just doing a bit of tweaking on it there. And then after that I work on the sort of landscaping around the actual coaster itself, because it just looks a bit bare at the moment. We put a bit of a lake in there, do some rock work, and then do some terraforming and some foliage as well to complete everything behind and sort of round off that area of the park. But a lot of that is done off camera, like I said before, or off screen rather. I haven't recorded it just because it's not that entertaining to watch and it's quite time consuming. So yeah, we just show the building work really in this episode. So the next thing that we'll sort of cut to is the final building for this area, which is another restaurant building. Or another food outlet rather, with a couple of stalls in there. So yeah, we put in 2 food drink outlets, whatever, and a restroom as well, a bathroom there. And then this is usable, this building, from a gameplay perspective. There is an interior, but I don't go heavily detailed inside because, again, I am starting to think about the piece count now for things like this. The outside of the building, the exterior of the building has quite a heavy piece count as well. Yeah, there's a lot of buildings that I make in this that probably wouldn't be able to go onto the workshop as a blueprint. Not that I really do that much anyway, but the log cavity building to the right of this one probably could. I reckon that's under, is it 4,000 pieces? Is that the limit? Really not sure, but yeah, I think that one will probably go up without a problem, but not so much this one. I think that's another thing though. I sort of like the challenge of seeing what I can build with different pieces, even if there's something similar in game, like the lighthouse where I could have just had the rounded wall piece. I like the challenge of making it myself out of smaller pieces. I just wish there was some sort of way that you could do that without lowering the FPS while you play. Well, I suppose there is, buy a better computer, but you know, a more cheaper way of doing that would be great. But yeah, not really a lot to say about this build, so I will leave you to enjoy the rest of the time lapse and cinematic shots at the end, and that pretty much concludes the Trawler's Wharf area of the park. Everything's complete. I will at some point, hopefully within the next week, share some cinematic shots and a POV of the coaster as well as a standalone video, because I sort of felt that it might be a bit too long to add it to this video, and a coaster POV isn't really relevant, but I wanted to wait till all the theming for the area was complete before doing that on Ride POV. So yeah, I'll try and get that up for you guys this week, and then we'll start working on the next themed area of the park. So that's something for me to look forward to, and thank you very much everyone for watching, and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye bye then.